Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. I'm with the Wolf, and obviously, just like to say, this is a general share advice and not a personal advice. How are you doing, Wolfie? Good?
I'm getting, look, to be honest, be perfectly honest, I do get anxiety sometimes. So this situation that's happening in Ukraine at the moment, it doesn't help me sleep very well.
Okay, but at the end of Wolf, we're in the business of making money.
Yep.
And what we're looking at is the stories that are obviously going to do well in this environment.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see that the dividend stories that we've been putting on are holding up and doing extremely well and holding
Mm-hmm.
up beautifully. And the stories that we've talked about, some of the recent hot stocks, WPL doing very well, ORG, these sort of oil and gas plays, the grains, the food stocks could do reasonably well in this environment. Things like, we're talking about obviously Zimplats because with the palladium, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got S32, which should do reasonably well in this environment.
Mm-hmm.
There's a number, and of course, the recent hot stock which we put on, just anticipating we're going to have a little bit of an issue. AGG, Anglo Gold, looking very, very good. So I just want to have a look at some of the other bigger gold stocks. Obviously, AGG is doing really well. I want to have a look at things like Northern Star Wolf. I've just seen it's just poked its little head up. So
Mm-hmm.
potentially that that could go on with the gold price as well. And I think the other one as well is Evolution, which I thought just on the chart looking a little bit similar, could do a little bit more. But you see these gold plays, Wolf, are generally coming back and looking quite interesting.
Yeah. So you've got, while, on the one side where obviously sad what's going on over there, but on the other hand, there's a market still going in the background. We need to still obviously look at what's happening with our stories. And absolutely, you've created, two beautiful hot stocks last 2 weeks, Dave. So well done
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah, so what you're looking at, there are a number of stocks, and we're going to work on those where we think could potentially trend and do quite nicely over the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But Wolf, this is the moment that you've been waiting for, and you've been telling me for ages, Dave, the pullback now.
Mm-hmm.
You're pretty well cashed up, ready to pick up bargains,
Mm-hmm.
and the bargains are coming now. The bargains are going to get better possibly sometime in the next 3 weeks. I believe this pullback is going to be pretty short and sharp,
Mm-hmm.
right? It looks like exactly what someone was saying the other day, Wolfie, that possibly that he's going to come in and he's going to want to take those Russian-speaking eastern states, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a sort of a little bit of what's gone on before, right? I think I'd be surprised if he's going to go to Kiev and kick up a bigger fuss. I think that would just be too many ramifications around the world if he did that. He's just coming in to take those eastern states, which um, so all in
So,
all,
you're expecting a fairly brief, I suppose, for a brief altercation. Is that what you was that what you
yeah,
expected?
I think so. I don't. I think it'll be realign those borders fairly brief, but particularly not. It's I don't think it's going to go on much longer than 2 or 3 weeks, right?
All right. So in that case, then obviously, you look at the markets in that regard, you've got the 2 or 3 weeks, maybe just 1 or 2 weeks, because the market looks obviously forward of gold and oil and gas doing well. So you've got those trades going on right now for you. But on the other hand, Dave, what you just spoke about, you're looking at which stories have been, looking down and
Well,
possibly
I
not
mean,
ridiculously cheap
making
with the view
sure,
of recovery now.
making yeah, making sure in about 2 or 3 weeks, I've got some cash because it's that cash is where I'm gonna really I could potentially have a good year trading, right? If I can pick up the bargains.
Well, look, hopefully, Dave, hopefully already a lot of people have got cash on the side, or maybe even completely cashed up, because we've been doing that anyway for the last 2 months on the back of this tech sell-off, right? So we've been going down, drawing down, and going to cash. So yeah, look, a lot of us do definitely have cash. So I suppose this conflict also gives us another excuse to be more cashed up, and then look for those bargains. So we've got a number of stocks that we talked about that we need to be looking at, the nice stories. We've already got the dividend stocks that are holding up very well. But I think in the next week or so that we need to start looking at some of these really nice stories that have been completely shellacked that maybe shouldn't have been.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look at those small cap dividend plays. Actually,
Holding them quite well.
they're actually up, right? They're more in the green. And again,
Wow.
and
Wow.
again, and again, at the moment, the large caps are not. There's a bit of
Holding up.
there's some green, right? So
Yeah.
again, the dividend plays are doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
The gold stocks, I think, oil stocks, some of these agricultural stocks, I think
Mm-hmm.
there's money to be made in those.
Yep.
And yeah, just hold the cash and get ready for the bargains. And this is
Yep.
obviously where hopefully the decent money can be made for the rest of the year. Now, Wolf, we've had a number of announcements today, so let's go through those and
Go on.
see if there are any bargains in there. Um, the first one I want to have a look at Coles. So again, a dividend play. It's up 2.45%. The market liking the announcement.
Yep.
What did the Right Honourable Mr. Wolf think of that?
Well, obviously the market says yes. It wasn't great. I mean, it was fairly stagnant, right? So slightly down on the revenue side, on the profit side, slightly down. But that's enough for the market to say this is a dividend stock. We're okay with it. I'd say it's definitely the better play than Woolies at the moment, and even the chart suggests so, Dave. So for me, Coles is something that I think it's already part of our 21 anyway, right? Top
Yeah,
21 stocks.
it is.
So it's still showing us the proof that it should be in there.
Right. ARB
Mm-hmm.
came out with an announcement. It's struggling like short term. Obviously, it broke trend. You'd be out.
Mm-hmm.
But what did you make of the announcement? And is this potentially going to go lower, Wolf? And is this one of these stocks that we could have an opportunity down the track around that sort of $30 level?
Yeah, look, I hope so. I love this story. Beautiful cash flows, beautiful profits, growth, 25% growth today, still looking great. Expansion overseas in the UK. You've got to love it. The only thing that's holding it back is its valuation, right? And even they've even did quite well during the pandemic and navigating through the supply chain issues. So you've got to love this story, really. Like I said, the only thing is I'm looking at the moment it's trading on 30 times. I wish I could see it down to about, say, $30, right? 31 would be probably my ideal situation where it would put it around the 20, 25 times, which is exactly where I wanted to see it.
So what we'd look to do is obviously take it off the shorter term trending and look to buy it on monthly charts on a very long term outlook and a very long term view.
Yep.
SVW Wolf 7,
Mm-hmm.
just struggling to hold on to trend, but actually not doing too bad in this market. What did you make of 7 Group's announcement?
Yeah, look, I suppose it's enough for the market to say, okay, you're doing not badly here in this particular market. If I'm looking at the fundamentals as well, that's probably also keeping it up with PE of 12, dividend yield of 3%. So all in all, I can see the reason why it's going sideways at the moment. At least it's delivering something to their shareholders.
Right, Hub fighting back quite nicely, Wolf. This sector's been under a lot of pressure. We've seen it with PPS and Hub a few weeks ago, but up 7.86% today.
Mm-hmm.
The market's liking something in that announcement, Wolf.
Well, fantastic growth. And I think it's almost doubled its profits, right? Even though it's small profits, it's still doubled them. So at least there's an indication that they are moving forward and they are managing cash flows reasonably well. Again, this sector has been hit because it's just too expensive, not because there's no growth in there. There is. All three delivered very, very good growth. The fact is they're expensive. Probably PPS got hit harder because they are unprofitable. They went into a negative. That's probably why it's got hit a bit harder. And we've seen how hard the market punches at the moment stuff that doesn't quite add up, right? Or the market doesn't like. So for me, that's maybe one sector I'd be looking at if it gets really smashed, because the growth is still very strong. But would I be buying it at the moment? Look, the P of Hub at the moment, I'm still looking at it. Again, remember, it's coming a very slow line. It's growing by 100%. So that could drop significantly, but it's still 150 plus PE, which is not cheap.
All right, let's talk about SRG, Wolf. They were on a P of 20. They had a NPAT of up from 5 million. It's up to 10 million, about 102% growth. The chart looks good. And I think we had it on Einstein's. And in a tough environment, it's slightly up today. So, I think it's hard for the market to really cheer things too much. But I think the announcement was maybe good enough to keep this at least trending above trend lines?
Yeah, I think so. Look, this is it's not a bad result at all, actually, when you look at it. One of the better players in this engineering space. And if you look at it, like you said, 20 times PE, 5.5% yield, definitely something for shareholders to say, well, I'm not selling it.
Gin Wolf. Now, I had a brief look at that one myself, and it didn't look too bad. I was sort of a little bit surprised to see this is down, especially, I don't think, market conditions really make people, people still buy the lottery, don't they? But what did you make of the announcement, and why do you think the market are not sort of rejoicing? Oh, you've got your ticket. Good
120
man.
mil, baby. Jin, I'm supporting you.
All
Dave, if
right.
you don't see me next week, you know why.
Um,
But saying that, Dave, it was a good result, but it wasn't enough, I suppose, for the markets. Plus, it's trading on 42 times. That's expensive for this market. So it needed something extraordinary. Like, look, I think they're going through a good time at the moment. We've seen that by the results today. And this 120 million jackpot in Powerball definitely should give them one of those adrenaline shots, right, to their revenues. So overall, I think, yeah, look, it's just too expensive. That's probably the only thing I'd say on this story that I probably would not be buying it. If I could pick it up, maybe around the 15 would be better.
So yeah, they are trading 44 times, maybe a bit less than that now.
Yeah, probably in the 30s, but still very expensive.
Yeah, okay. But do you think good enough that maybe by the end of the week it'll hold trend?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's good enough for at least to hold at 15.30.
All right. Now let's have a look at Whisper because again, down 5%. And what do they do, Wolf? Because the company came out with an absolutely stunning announcement, and hello, nobody wants a bar of it.
No, it was pretty good. Again, I think the only reason why it's down is just not profitable still. And when they said we're going to get to cash flow positivity in 2 years' time, everyone went, "What? 2 years' time? Fuck at that, I'm out." So it's unfortunately, Dave, that's how the market looks at these things right now. 2 years is like a lifetime away.
Record half-year revenue of 39.4 million.
Exactly. So let's annualize it. You're looking at, let's say 40 million, let's say 80 million revenues. So what's the market cap of this? It is 234. So you're looking at what, 3 times, right? 3 times revenues, growing at 70%. I mean, it's trading where it is. The market's a little bit playing scaredy cat at the moment here, I think. And unfortunately, I don't think it's a good reflection on where the story is at. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. So can you sort of extrapolate on that and say what sort of profit they should be making if they continue to grow at the same rate next year?
Oh, look, I don't think they'll be making any profits yet. Like I said, I think it's going to be at least 2 years away. But if they can grow between the 40-50%, I'm discounting their growth that they had already. It's just going to put them on a ridiculous revenue model at the very least, right? So I think the value lies, if you take that long-term view with this, if they can hit the targets of the profitability in, say, 2 to 3 years' time, then surely that will just re-rate it completely, and it's not going to be trading on two times revenues. That's going to be trading probably at 5 times. So it should double from here, really.
All right, one for that. Well, we're not going to go in yet. It's below.
No, not yet. But that's the thing. You could be buying this $1 in a 3 to 6 weeks' time. You just don't know. That's why don't jump too early on this.
AWC Wolf, good looking chart and not a bad announcement, correct?
Yeah. So it's justifying our thoughts here, right? That's the aluminium and alumina prices are holding up very well, and obviously going actually very, very well with the demand supply ish stakes. So for me, still a hold. Dividends are still decent, and overall, I think if you're in it, you're holding it.
Wolf and JLG, another company with good announcements.
Stunning announcement, Dave. Stunning announcement.
Yeah, upgrade, right? So, I think in sort of more boyish, more of a bullish market, I think you'd have seen this have a nice little big green candle on that announcement.
Yeah, absolutely.
But certainly strong enough to hold it up.
It is, but I think they needed that, right, to hold that up, to be honest, because it's trading at what, 90 times PE. So we know it's expensive. That's why we said, look, if you're sitting on a big profit, probably look to take a profit, or at least take some money off the table. Disclaimer, of course, I did with our holding. So I'm sitting really on just profits, but I'm not a buyer yet. Even though I love this announcement and I think this is still, one of the best stories on the ASX, it is just too expensive in this current market. So I'm hoping. I'm not hoping it's obviously for the shareholders out there it's got us down too far, but give us a little bit more. Give it coming back to that $6 exactly. Maybe that's where I'll start looking at it.
All right, thanks for that, Wolf. XRF,
Mm-hmm.
actually not a bad looking chart. Trend line suddenly bounced off, slightly up. Was that announcement good enough? Possibly not in this market to take things further, but good enough to hold it up above that sort of 53 cents level?
I think so, Dave. This is a beneficiary of being not too expensive story, right? That's delivering okay growth. So for me, 14 times PE, dividend yield of 5%, enough in there for shareholders to hold on for sure.
All right. Next one on the cap, we got CGC.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it is popping and it's interesting. So, you look at, the eldest sort of stories are holding up very, very nicely. We saw AAC having a pretty good chart. So you can see these agricultural stocks doing reasonably well. CGC's had a torrid time of late. If I look back in the past when we got this type of move, Wolf, right, and then CGC went for a really nice run, could it happen again?
It could, but I don't trust it, unfortunately, Dave. Well, I think the agri space, like you said, is flying at the moment and it's got great conditions to do well. And CGC is a beneficiary of that. There is other, unfortunately, moving parts that are out of the control, like the prices of certain, citrus fruits and other things that, maybe that's it's going to impact them somewhere down the line. So for me, one announcement does not suggest it's a complete turnaround yet. I probably need to see another 3 to 6 months of sustained improved performance because, like you said, you saw it before, right? We thought, hey, they're back, and then they disappointed again. So
also the week's not over either, so
exactly.
This could go.
Don't get too caught up in the hype. It's too early for that.
Wolf and RUL, they came out with an announcement last night. I mean, they've had a tremendous run.
Yep.
The announcement, I think we spoke about this one, wasn't too bad. It's just another story that's just run too hard, too fast.
Absolutely, and I think there's probably still a case that it should probably fall at 150, Dave. Market cap 420 something million. What's the actual revenues like? Let me just have a quick look. Hang on. So when you say, like, when I look at Whisper and we look at things like this, Whisper looks like a steal compared to something like this. But I still like the story, RUL story. But when I'm thinking of where would I bargain hunt first, I'd probably go to Whisper.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, on that, saying that, Wolf, absolutely brilliant, fantastic look at the markets today. There's opportunities there, even in a difficult market. We're going to be looking for those every day when we do obviously the podcast. And yes, the biggest opportunity could be in about 3 or 4 weeks with a decent market pullback and take advantage of when there's a bit of blood in the streets, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, the most important thing is I see that you never said good luck to me, so obviously you want to keep me here around.
I don't want you to win. I do not want you to win, Wolf. It's like, no, don't want you to win.
Bad luck.
No, seriously, Wolf. Of course, I want you to win. Of course, I want you to win. I'd love to see you have enough money to buy yourself a shirt and rather than have to wear.
Thanks. I thought you were going to say that.
Than have to wear a t-shirt every day. Wolf, listen, also, just before I go, obviously, we're doing the Equity Story IPO at the moment, which is really exciting. And I just want to thank everybody for the tremendous feedback we've been having from everyone, which has been like a little bit humbling, to be honest, Mr. Wolfie. And I think that the preliminary offer, the special offer, I think that ends on Friday. So obviously people out there who who are doing that, hurry up and obviously get it all in and get it done. But listen, Wolf, it's humbling actually, and the comments from people. So, yeah, listen, we feel over time, Wolf. I don't know if we'll be bigger than Rifkin. He had 65,000 members, but we just got to build it over the next 3 or 4 years. And
Probably go down the Rifkin way and start being shysters.
yeah, no. Poor guy. He didn't have a good ending, did he?
Not at all, unfortunately. But anyway, also, again, thank you obviously for everyone. And we had some really nice positive emails. We've got our Ask the Analyst tonight, so please join us for that too. And maybe we could discuss a few more war stocks.
Brilliant. Thanks, Wolfie.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Bye.